friends, welcome back. We're talking about finding the volume of pyramids and cones. Now, here's the formula. Volume equals the area of the base. That's what we do when we have a capital B. Times it by the height of the actual cone or the pyramid, and then divide by 3. And you might be asking yourself, why do we divide it by 3, Caitlin? Well, let me explain that to you. And even if you're not asking yourself, you should be, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about these two things. Notice that these both have these have similar bases here, right? They're hexagons. So they have similar bases, but then when I turn them on their sides, ta-da, this guy right here is a prism. This is a pyramid. So let's pause and talk about this. Okay, so I'm going to take apart these guys. I'm going to take out my pyramid, and I'm going to take out my prism here. So now you can see. Okay, so these have the exact same base, right? But one's a pyramid and one is a prism. So watch what happens. If I take this, so if I take this pyramid here and I pour that into my prism, there's one. And then I take it and I pour this into my prism again. That's 2. And that's 3 if you can manage my pouring skills here. They are not the best. Okay, so you'll see that if I took this, I'm gonna leak rice everywhere. So if I took this pyramid and I filled up the prism with the exact same base, it took 3 of these pyramids to fill up the exact same base, a prism of the exact same base. That is why we divide by 3, because what we're doing is we're finding, as we figured out in an earlier video, the area, when we were doing prisms, area of the base times the height, right? That's this. But then we've got to divide it by 3 because only a third of this thing fits into our pyramid here. Okay. Okay, now that we've got that cleaned up, let's talk about finding the volume. So let's move that guy out of the way. Let me zoom in here a little bit better so that you can see. Oh, maybe focus that a little. I don't know. That might help. Let's take a look at this guy right here. So remember, when we're trying to find the volume, so the volume equals the area of the base times the height divided by 3. So we take a look at that base and we see that it is a square. And we remember, oh yeah, to find the area of a square, we just do the sides, the base times the height, right? So the area of this guy is just 4 times 4, which is 16. So this is going to be 16 times. Now the height is the one that has to be in the center. So if you see that that is 7, you'll see, because sometimes you're given the slant height, and when that happens, we'll talk about what to do. But in this case, our height is 7. So we say, take that by 7 and we divide by 3. Okay, so looking at this, I can't cancel anything out. So what I would say is we've got 16 times 7, and then that gives us 112 divided by 3. You can leave it in that form and say 112 thirds, and we would say yards cubed because we're talking about volume. So let's talk about a cylinder, or a cone, I'm sorry. So a cone is the same idea. If you have a cone and you have a cylinder and they both have the same bases, it takes 3 cones to fill up 1 cylinder. So same idea here. We have volume equals the area of the base times the height divided by 3. So volume equals, now remember, to find the area of the base of a circle, it is the area equals the radius squared times pi. And in this case, our diameter is 4. So our radius is 2. So our area is 2 squared pi, which means our area is 4 pi. Okay, so the volume of this is 4 pi times the height, which we now know is 7, divided by 3. Now 4, 3, 7, I can't cancel anything out, so I have volume equals 28 pi over 3 yards cubed. And it's best to leave it in terms of pi. Same with these other fractions. Okay, so let's say we've got this guy right here, and we're looking at, so we look at this one here and we see that we've got our base is a triangle, and it looks like it's a right triangle. If you can see it, it looks like this. Just like that guy. And here's our right triangle. This is a 5, this is a 3, and this is a 4. Okay, so let's find, and again, the volume is the area of the base times the height divided by 3. So let's find the area of this base. Well, remember, it is base times height where it makes a 90-degree angle, so the 5 doesn't really matter. So that's going to be 12, but then we cut it in half so we get 6. So the volume is the area of the base is 6 times the height of our 3D figure, which is 8, divided by 3. Now in this case I can cross cancel. Divide by 3 I get 1, divide by 3 I get 2. So my volume is 16 yards cubed. 16 yards cubed. Okay, so let's just double check with one more of these. A rectangular prism. That's I was looking for this one. So a rectangular prism is the same idea. Volume equals area of the base times the height. The area of a rectangle is just base times length times width, base times height, right? So 5 times 7 is 35 times the height, which is 7. Divided by 3. Forgot that part because we're talking about a pyramid. Divided by 3. Okay, so if we do 35 times 7, we get 245. So the volume equals 245 divided by 3 centimeters cubed. Okay. All right, let's take a look at these ones. There is another special case that I do want to talk about. We're going to look at number 7 here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little closer on that. So we have a cone here, and we want to find the area of it. Not the area, the volume of it. So the volume equals the area of the base times height divided by 3. However, so to find the area, that's not too difficult. We just know that it's going to be the radius squared times pi. So the radius is, so let's do a little side work over here. Radius is 6 squared times pi, so that's going to be 36 pi. And we're going to multiply it by the height, which you'll notice is missing here. So we have to do a little side work to find the height. We have this right triangle that looks like this. We know this is 6, and we know this hypotenuse is 6 root 5. So what does that make this leg over here? Remember, you can use the Pythagorean theorem. We can say 6 squared plus x squared equals 6 root 5 squared. So this gives us 36 plus x squared equals, now that's going to be 36, and then we multiply 36 times 5. So because the 2 is being distributed to the 6, that gives me 36, and then the square root of 5 squared is just 5. So that gives me 180. So I have x squared equals, if I minus 36 from both sides, so minus 36, I end up with 144. So x squared equals 144. Square root both sides, we get x equals 12. Okay, so now we know that this guy right here equals 12, which means our height is now 12. So sometimes you have to use your Pythagorean theorem to get all the information. So now we can say, okay, that is multiplied by 12, and then we have to divide by 3. Divide this by 3, we get 1. Divide this by 3, we get 4. So if we do 36 times 4, we end up with 144, because I just did that before. So volume equals 144 pi, and we're talking about centimeters, and we're talking volume, so you got to remember cubed. So just be aware that you could use Pythagorean theorem in order to find your height there. If you have any questions, leave them below. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.